President Donald Trump's recent policies are about to shake up Social Security benefits impacting nearly 2 million Americans. Could you be one of them? Between 80% and 90% of retirees rely on their Social Security income to cover their basic needs. But now, major changes introduced by the Trump administration mean many beneficiaries might soon face reductions in their monthly payouts. And this video will be straight to the point. First, I'll explain exactly what happened. Then I'll tell you why most people alive will never retire and will work until they die. And then I'll give you a solution to protect you and your family. Let's dive in. Just don't forget to subscribe to be part of our community and receive more videos like this. So first, what happened this time? I know. Every week it's another crisis, another policy change, another reason to worry. But this one, it's different. It's personal. It's about your money, your future, and your ability to retire with dignity. In early May 2025, the Trump administration announced a significant policy shift. The resumption of collections on defaulted federal student loans, including the garnishment of Social Security benefits. This move ended the pandemic-era pause that had been in place since March 2020, aiming to collect unpaid debts from borrowers who had fallen behind. Here's the kicker. Starting this month, June 2025, if you're a retiree with defaulted student loans, up to 15% of your monthly Social Security check could be withheld to repay that debt. And it's not just retirees. Disabled individuals and survivors receiving benefits are also affected. Let's talk numbers. As of April 2025, approximately 3.59 million Americans aged 60 and older still carry federal student loan debt. Of these, around 452,000 are in default, putting them at immediate risk of benefit garnishment. The Department of Education sent out 30-day notices to 195,000 borrowers in May, with plans to notify all 5.3 million defaulted borrowers over the summer. And it's not just student loans. The Social Security Administration, SSA, has also reinstated aggressive recovery efforts for overpayments. Previously, the SSA capped recoveries at 10% of monthly benefits, but in March 2025, they announced a policy to withhold up to 100% of benefits to recover overpayments. After public outcry, this was revised in April to a 50% withholding rate for new cases. Imagine this. You're receiving a $1,500 monthly Social Security check. Under these new policies, $225 could be taken for student loan repayment, and if you have an overpayment issue, another $750 could be withheld. That leaves you with just $525 to cover all your monthly expenses. It's a harsh reality for many. These policy changes come at a time when the financial strain on older Americans is already significant. The New York Federal Reserve reported that the delinquency rate for student loan borrowers surged from 0.8% in 2024 to 8.04% in 2025, indicating a broader financial strain. I know this is a lot to take in, and it might feel overwhelming, but knowledge is power. Understanding these changes is the first step in protecting yourself and your loved ones. Well, moving to the second part, why most people alive will never retire and will work until they die. First off, let's talk about how retirement is supposed to work. In the US, the traditional retirement age has been creeping up. For those born in 1960 or later, the full retirement age, FRA, is now 67. You can start claiming Social Security benefits as early as 62, but doing so reduces your monthly benefit by about 30%. On the flip side, delaying benefits until age 70 can increase your monthly payout by up to 24%. Now let's talk numbers. As of 2025, the average monthly Social Security benefit is $1,903. While that might cover basic expenses in some areas, it's far from sufficient in many parts of the country. Financial planners suggest that individuals need an annual income of $50,000 to $70,000 for a comfortable retirement, depending on location and lifestyle. So, how are Americans doing in terms of retirement savings? According to Empower's 2025 data, the average retirement savings across all age groups is $492,795. However, the median savings tell a different story. For those in their 60s, the median retirement savings is $590,777, which is less than half of the $1.26 million that Americans believe they need to retire comfortably. But here's the kicker. More than half of U.S. households have retirement accounts, yet only half of those feel confident they will have enough money to live comfortably in retirement. This lack of confidence isn't unfounded. In 2025, a record-setting 4.2 million Americans will turn 65, the conventional age of retirement. However, many are finding that their savings, combined with Social Security, aren't enough to support them. Debt is another significant factor. Nearly 50% of U.S. debt is held by adults over age 50, with 71% of them in debt as of 2016. The median debt level among retirees has tripled since 1989, posing challenges given fixed incomes during retirement. High-interest debts like credit cards, tax debt, payday loans, student loans, and high-ratio mortgage debt are particularly burdensome. Moreover, the Social Security Administration has reinstated aggressive recovery efforts for overpayments. Previously, the SSA capped recoveries at 10% of monthly benefits, but in March 2025, they announced a policy to withhold up to 100% of benefits to recover overpayments. After public outcry, this was revised in April to a 50% withholding rate for new cases. All these factors contribute to a grim reality. Many Americans are finding it increasingly difficult to retire. The combination of insufficient savings, rising costs, and policy changes means that the dream of a comfortable retirement is slipping away for many. But don't worry, in this third part, I'm here to save you. Here's how to retire as soon as possible in 3 steps. So step 1, how much you need to retire. If you decide to retire, I know you'll want that money to last forever, or at least until you leave this world. To achieve this, there is one rule you cannot break, the 4% rule. This rule essentially states that you can withdraw 4% of your investment portfolio each year without running out of money entirely. For example, if you have a $500,000 investment portfolio, you can safely spend 4% of that yearly, which means you can spend $20,000. If your portfolio is worth $1 million, you can spend $40,000 each year, and so on. The idea is that, managed this way, your portfolio can beat inflation and continue to grow over time. It's important to remember that the biggest factor in determining how much you need to save is how much you plan to spend in the future. If you want to live a simple life in the countryside with a vegetable garden, your cost of living will be one thing. If you want to throw dollars out the window while staying at a hotel in Dubai, the cost will be quite different. And just to give you an example and make it clearer, what I would say for those who still don't understand much about investments is to invest in index funds like VTI and VTSAX. Because they have proven themselves over time, it's a peaceful investment, you won't need to pick stocks, and it's very difficult to beat the market in general. As the point of this video is not to delve into investments, but rather about retirement, I will invite you to subscribe to the channel and watch my old videos to learn more about investments. In other videos, I intend to teach you how to make money even while sleeping. In this video, we are just going to estimate how much you would need to invest to never worry again. Now, going to the mathematics of how much you will need to retire. Considering that we are going to use the 4% rule, you will basically calculate your monthly expenses and multiply them by 25. Why? Because if you can safely withdraw 4% of your portfolio each year, then dividing 100% by 4% gives you 25. And I don't want you to think only about the biggest expenses. Think about taxes. Think about the coffee you buy on the street, birthday presents. Think about everything. Get your credit card statement. Because many make the mistake of only calculating the basics, such as transportation, rent, but no one lives on that alone. And just to illustrate the math, let's imagine your annual spending is $50,000. $50,000 times 25 equals $1,250,000. That's your goal. It's simple. I don't want you to think it's about complicated mathematics or a big deal. Now we can move to the second step, savings and savings rate. All right, let's get into the math of how your savings rate directly affects your working years until retirement. This isn't just about saving randomly. It's a numbers game. Imagine this. The higher your savings rate, the faster you can build your investment portfolio and the fewer years you'll have to work. Let me explain. First, let's talk about what your savings rate is. It's the percentage of your income that you're saving every month. Here's the formula. Savings rate equals money saved divided by total income times 100. Imagine you earn $5,000 a month and you save $1,000 of that income each month. So using the formula, we divide 1,000 by 5,000, which gives us 0.2. Then we multiply 0.2 by 100, and that gives us 200, a savings rate of 20%. In this case, you're saving 20% of your total income every month. Simple, right? Now, how does this translate into the number of years until retirement? There's a simple relationship here. The more you save, the fewer years you need to work, because you not only have more money invested, but you're also used to living on less. Here's a quick example. If you save 10% of your income, it'll take around 51 years to retire, assuming you start from scratch and invest your savings with a reasonable rate of return. But if you can push your savings rate to 50%, you'll only need about 17 years to retire. Why? Because you're living on half your income, so you only need half as much wealth to sustain you. The math works like this. If your savings rate is 10%, you're spending 90% of your income. You'll need to accumulate 25 times your annual spending based on the 4% rule to retire. With a lower savings rate, it takes longer to build up this amount. But if your savings rate is 50%, you're only spending half of your income. This means you'll need much less to retire, and since you're saving aggressively, you're building up your investment portfolio much faster. Here's the formula to estimate years until retirement. Years until retirement equals 1 divided divided by savings rate minus 1. And now let's break down examples. If you save 10% of your income, you're spending 90% of it using the formula 1 divided by 0.1 minus 1 equals 9. It will take you approximately 9 years of saving to accumulate 1 year's worth of living expenses. Therefore, it takes around 51 years to retire. If you save 50% of your income, you're spending the other 50% using the formula 1 divided by 0.50 minus 1 equals 1. It will take you just 1 year of saving to accumulate 1 year's worth of living expenses. Therefore, you can retire in about 17 years. If you save 70% of your income, you're spending only 30% using the formula 1 divided by 0.70 minus 1 equals 0.43. This means it will take you less than 5 years to retire if your savings rate is extremely high. It's simple math, but it can completely change your financial future. So, your goal should be to keep pushing that savings rate higher and higher. And you might be thinking, wow, it's over for me. I'll never make it. My money doesn't even cover the monthly bills. How am I going to save 30% or 70%? Next up, third step, let's talk about how to boost your income to make this process even faster. At the beginning of my career, I was a bartender. I was rejected from interviews by literally every bank. I earned very little, and I had to work miracles with that little to be able to invest. I'm telling you this because I want you to know that it's possible. I went from nothing to a multimillionaire in a few years in an emerging country. How did I do this? I started my own business while investing. So this is possibility number 1, and I will present one other. But the secret of having your own business is that it can increase your income a lot. And I want you to have this experience just to test one day of entrepreneurship. Go to the market, spend everything on cake ingredients, spend the day making cakes and sell them to all your neighbors, preferably. Show up close to lunch where you will be most hungry. Sell it for twice its cost and you will have $2,000. How about that? Thus, your client will pay $1,000 for 1 day of work. Meanwhile, your conventional job will pay you $120. It's a little risky to have your own business, but if you do it right, you can't go wrong. The possibility number 2 is move out of state. Seek opportunities wherever they are. I will give a very good practical example. In Tennessee, a teacher earns approximately $53,619 per year. In Massachusetts, a teacher earns around $88,903. Do you see how much more it is? You can earn more just by changing states. That's crazy. This also fits for people who are from emerging countries like me. It may be that by moving from India to the United States, you will find more possibilities. Of course, being an immigrant is very difficult and has several associated challenges, but this is something that can be thought about and planned. And with the internet, remote work, you can perfectly work without moving to a foreign company, earning in a stronger currency. It's important that you step out of the box and think about all the possibilities. Well, that's it, cousin. I hope you enjoyed the video. Bye and stay invested.